Good evening. So today we're going to start the session, the question and answer session. All questions related to meditation and what we have learned in the 7-day course. So before we start today's session, we're going to have a short meditation. Om Shanti Radhikavan. So the first question, I want to get rid of my sanskaras, which I know that I have acquired, the habits that I've acquired, but I don't seem to be able to. They seem to be very deep rooted and they just won't change.
And the question is what to do about that.
What to do about my sanskaras?
Today in the Murli, if you've all heard it, Papa was specifically, talking about, and I have also mentioned that it's important that we don't delve into it too much about, of course, there has to be that introspection that what kind of uh, weaknesses that we do have. Baba said, check it. But when we overanalyze it, that I have this weakness and it works like this and it is coming out in this way, it's not going. I think our focus has to be once we understand what the particular sanskar is, whatever the effort that has to be made, I should become busy in that instead of magnifying the influence of that sanskar and the way it is creating an obstacle. Of course it is there, of course that understanding is that it is there, we're not belittling that, but there has to be more of an understanding of how to overcome it. And Baba in every murli he says how to remember him and taking strength. So Baba just he takes a responsibility to cleanse our past. That includes the sanskaras also. But if we are able to listen to him and follow him accurately, then it is taken care of. If I think there should be some method where I need to just think about that sanskara and and discuss about that sanskara, it doesn't work. And I was mentioning in the morning during Murli also that when you study psychology, they make you go through the past and tell what all goes wrong in your life and how it went wrong and what is wrong with you. They keep on asking you to analyze it and talk about it and share about it. It makes you more heavy. Hmm. So Baba's method is always inculcating the understanding that how we are going to become deities, how we are, not normal, we are great. So to have very high self-esteem and self-respect automatically destroys this sanskaras in the long run. Yeah. Unable to hear, it seems.
Is
Yeah, I've muted all.
Are you able to hear? They're saying
Yes,
yes.
yes, yes. Mm. Um, See, Kundalini is a different method altogether. It is more connected to the physiology, as far as I understand, and whatever I've heard. It is connected to the body and the chakras of the body. Mm. But here we come with a very different premise. The whole knowledge stands on the point that you're not the body at all. You're a soul. So we start with that understand the sanskaras are within the soul. So whatever you do with the body doesn't change the soul. So Kundalini is all about chakras. Here, the chakras here and chakras in the stomach and in the heart, and then to concentrate upon that. So by concentrating on the body, I don't know what happens with it, but there was this person who was practicing Kundalini. I don't know because I'm not an expert on that and I've not read it, but whatever little I know, it's a different method altogether, and I think it's more connected to the body. And if you are not guided properly in that, if you read books and do it, I know the student from Mumbai, he did it on his own and reading a book or something like that, and he got mentally ill. And there was someone in Mumbai in Gamdevi Center. There was one sister who was coming. She was learning Kundalini, and she didn't know she was referring to some book, and she did it. And there was a lot of mental imbalance she had. So I don't know how that works. I really don't know. But here the understanding is sanskaras are in the soul. So by doing Kundalini chakras, it's the organs that we are looking into, na, of the body. Mm. The sanskaras are not in the body, the soul. So we have to build our thought energy, no?
There is another question on sanskaras.
So to improve soul consciousness, you have to have attention. There's no other way. There is no method. Everybody is in that same practice, and everybody finds it difficult. You tend to forget it until unless you have a very high aim that this is the kind of person I want to become. I want to fill myself with this divinity and divine qualities. uh, I want to be stable. I want to have the right kind of control over myself. I need to have a balanced life. If this kind of aim is very high and very clear in front, then automatically there will be attention. uh, on the basis of this attention only you can become soul conscious, or else it is very easy to be body conscious because we are so used to being body conscious. We are habituated to be body conscious. That's why Baba says in the Murli to keep a chart.
There's another question on sanskaras. They're asking how to change or influence other sanskaras with whom we live. We can't avoid them in our life. So, how to change their sanskaras?
By changing our own sanskaras, we are able to change other sanskaras. We can't change anybody's sanskaras. At least their sanskaras will be there, but it will not be an obstacle and obstruction for you. It won't be a bother. There are a lot of people who have a lot of sanskaras, but not all sanskaras are affecting you, isn't it? This particular person's sanskar is affecting you. Hmm? There would be a sanskar in your child, there would be sanskar in your mother, sanskar in your father, but the people get affected sanskar in the husband only, or the wife, because the karmic account is like that. So it is not like everybody is perfect and they're all positive. No, it's not like that. It is the kind of expectation we have from the soul and the kind of karmic account we have with the soul, that problem gets magnified and we feel the sanskar is bothering us a lot. So for that sanskar not to bother you, I have to develop a sanskar of patience. I have to develop the sanskar of tolerance. I have to develop the sanskar of letting go. And that is when that sanskar doesn't seem to be a difficult one to deal with. You feel it like yesterday it was so difficult, now it feels it's easy. You've accepted that individual, that is how he is or she is. So when you accept, it becomes easy for the person to change. Suddenly you'll realize, because of these qualities, suddenly you realize that the person's behavior is changing. Hmm. Until unless we do not inculcate virtues of tolerance and accommodation, the other, so it's very difficult, and to have forgiveness, good wishes, that then it's very difficult for the other soul to change the sanskaras.
There's one question on good wishes. I give good wishes, but I don't know if they're working, if they're reaching.
You don't give good wishes, you have good wishes. it is it is a state of your mind. Automatically, naturally, you're able to have good wishes. Now if I'm giving good wishes with that understanding that others should change because of my good wishes, it will not work. Good wishes have some rules. Mm. You cannot have selfish intention. Anything for yourself, for only personal benefit, it doesn't work. It is for the benefit for the soul, benefit for the world, benefit for, more than yourself. Then the good wishes reach out because it's a pure quality. Whatever energy we get from Baba, whatever strength we get from Baba, are very high, pure quality. So if we are able to, if we are able to create this kind of thoughts, we are able to connect to Baba and even give to others. So good wishes have to have very rich quality. It is not that quality, I want you to be happy, I want to be fine, I want to be strong, so that my life is better if you change. I will stop worrying if your life is better. No. Good wishes are on the basis of soul consciousness and not on basis of a relationship. Good wishes have to be on the basis of a very high intention and benefit for the soul, and not because it will benefit in you. That very meaning is good wishes with absolutely no personal gain.
There's a question here. If sanskaras are coming from the previous birth, how to cleanse them?
By remembering Baba, Baba repeatedly tells in the Murli, by remembering me, your sins are incinerated, your sins are burnt. So the more we remember Baba, the past when it keep getting burnt, then in the present the sanskaras keep transforming.
How to build willpower to break out of old habits?
Concentration. Whatever promise that you take for yourself, that this is what you want to become, this is what you want to do, you have to repeatedly, with very concentrated effort, you have to remind yourself again and again and again the whole day. It's not like you make a promise on January 1st and then you forget the whole year. No, every day you remind yourself, like for example, I don't want to react and I want to be a calmer person, right? So you will have to, keep saying, I have to be calm, I have to be a balanced person, I don't want to react, and I'm going to be that person, and I'm that person. So Baba is going to make me that. So every day you're able to take some time, and you are reminding yourself of that particular aim and the promise that you've made with concentration, purposeful with that energy. Then it will come into life naturally. It will come into life. If you don't even remember it, like you took a promise then and then you do with that intensity, you don't even remember it, it will not come into life. Concentration brings will.
How to build self-confidence?
Once your actions become very nice and respectful, and you're able to respect yourself very nicely. If you see yourself change, automatically you'll start respecting yourself. Because most of the time when we do something wrong, we don't like ourselves. Nobody gets angry and likes themselves, no? So the Murli also, Baba says that many times when you follow what Baba says, then you become elevated. That is, that awareness will be there that I'm not ordinary because I'm performing such good actions. I'm an elevated soul. I am child of God. So this requires reminders of who am I, what am I. Little work is needed, and actions both together. What actions I perform also increases my self-esteem, and what I tell myself also increases my self-esteem. And that is when confidence comes. Faith, mainly faith in the self and in Baba that he will do it. Even if I'm not able to, he will do through me. So it will happen. So some sort of a, faith has to be built. Yeah. And here, excuse me. Oh, oh. Yeah, go ahead.
So we have a question here. They're asking, what is it to see with the third eye that Baba mentions?
In today's Murli, Baba said, the third eye of knowledge, as I mentioned. These two eyes can see what is visible. Is there anything more than that? So there are these two eyes can see what is visible, what is physical, that you can see with these eyes. These are two physical eyes. Baba talks about the third eye. The third eye is the understanding that I am a soul, and understanding that I'm a child of God, understanding that I've taken the cycle without seeing it with these eyes. I can't see the soul, I can't see the supreme, I can't see that I went around the whole cycle. I can't see any of that. But then with there's a deep spiritual understanding that I am able to accept this fact. That happens with the third eye of knowledge. On the base of knowledge, we understand. So that's exactly why the knowledge is considered to be the third eye. The third eye. They say when Shankarji opened the third eye, the whole world got destroyed, they say. Which actually means when we understand that we are souls and we understand that we are immortal, eternally imperishable, then we automatically understand that apart from myself, that the soul, everything else what I see through these eyes are destructible. They can be destroyed. Nothing seems perfect, permanent. So they seeing things with the third eye means to see others as souls, seeing the secret behind every scene, which is not visible, but we know there is something to learn from it. That's what it is.
There's one question. How to forgive someone?
Mike. నాకు వస్తలేదు.
Om Shanti. How to forgive someone who hurts us badly?
How to forgive?
Forgive someone who hurts us badly.
When you understand that it is for your benefit. If you are thinking that you're doing a favor for that the other individual, then you would feel very heavy. But when you know that you are forgiving so that you don't get hurt more, so that you're not giving too much importance to that person. Somebody said that the best way, somebody said, I can't forgive, I want to take revenge. So the best way to take revenge is to live well. To be able to understand that, I want to just let go of it because it's not so important anymore. And when you forgive, others realize. Till we don't forgive, they don't realize. They don't realize a mistake. They don't even realize that they're wrong. So forgiveness has a lot of results, because when you forgive, you are safe. You are, able to take care of your health, wealth, happiness properly. So how to forgive is to understand that there is more benefit in forgiveness than to hold on. You have to understand the benefit. You have to think about it. And not invest so much energy into people and things which are not really that important. To understand that the souls are God's children, and at the same time to know that each one has their own virtue, their own part, and also that we have a karmic account. If that person has hurt me, there must be sometime before I must have given that hurt, so I'll finish that account with that soul. I don't want to react and continue this account with them. This spiritual understanding is important. It's not putting oneself down, but knowing that we're finishing a karmic account here.
There are two questions here. One says, Sister, what's the difference between ego and self-respect? And another question says, what's the difference between ego and stability?
Ego and stability.
Yes,
What? How is that connected to ego?
probably being stable in the self-respect. That's when I'm not getting affected.
See, ego is when you think you're really great. You think you're really great. And but the problem in that is that you think nobody is great. Nobody is greater than you. Self-respect, you think you're great. And you understand each one around me, around us, are great in their own way. Ego is all about, thinking great about oneself on the basis of what is achieved, what others think about you, what you have gained, what the world sees us with, name, fame, wealth, which are all temporary. Anything with the basis of temporary foundation is ego. So that is why it is very there's no stability in ego. A person is never very secure. He's always scared. He always feels insulted. Always feels very volatile. Doesn't feel very secure and certain about things. So he is extremely sensitive and emotional. So that is ego. A person with self-respect, he knows what is good in the self on the basis of the qualities that it help him to reach wherever he is reached. And there is a kind of humility and being grateful and gratitude that there's so many people have been a part of making him what he is now. And also knowing that these are the qualities that he's very, very proud of and God given. So because of the self-respect, there is always self-respect always comes with humility, not meekness, but humility. And so there is a lot of certainty because it's solely dependent on one's own qualities, which are permanent. So there is a lot of surety and certainty and security. So they're rarely sensitive. They're very clear about what they are, and they don't hold on to what people have said and why they said it, and so on and so forth. They don't waste their time.
What are the stages of meditation, and how can we clear our subconscious clutter and reset it with Gyan?
See, they do mention about some stages and all that, but for me it is very simple that I always speak about during the meditation course. That is, the first is soul consciousness, the preparedness that I consider to be a stage where you're preparing yourself. Soul consciousness, when you're sitting to practice, wherever you sit, before Murli or when you sit to meditate, first practice is soul consciousness. I'm a soul. And whilst walking, moving, talking, eating, it is only the soul consciousness, whether it's self-respect, I'm a peaceful soul, I'm loveful soul, or it is a soul who's performing these actions. I, the soul, I'm watching others as souls also. So the thing is, everything is connected to being that to awareness that I'm a soul. But it is, but at the same time, I'm hearing my own voice. Huh? No, it is the same thing. It doesn't matter. Now it's okay. Now it's okay. So the thing is, we understand that soul consciousness, then remembering Baba constantly, because without being soul conscious, you cannot remember Baba. So when you want to meditate, the first most important thing is, the very first step is to understand that I cannot change the world. I have to change. Secondly, I surrendered everything to Baba and now I'm sitting to meditate. I can't feel responsible for everything and I'll sit with the burden in meditation. Then there are a lot of waste thoughts. So you're creating these thoughts of soul consciousness, creating thoughts about Baba. uh, that is what you initiate yourself for meditation, that awareness. So when you're bringing that particular awareness, then we are prepared for connecting to God and taking strength from Him. And that is when the connection happens. And what was the rest of the question? That's all. What are the stages of meditation?
Reset with Gyan.
Huh?
How to reset with Gyan.
What you're talking to yourself is Gyan only, na? Because if without Murli, then your meditation will not be there. Because you know how to talk to yourself through Murli. After you keep listening to Murli, you understand how to talk to yourself, how to talk to Baba, how he talks to you. You'll understand all that. Without Murli, it's like general, like how in books people write, talk to God like this, like that. No, Baba, to connect to Baba, you need knowledge. You have to remind us, I'm a soul, I've taken the cycle, and I'm so and so, I'm child of God, I've come from Paramdam. These reminders, if you're not at all listening to Murli, you can't remember the course. Nobody can remember the course. So how can you connect to Baba? It's very difficult. No, it is impossible, I feel. Murli will tell you what to think. Yeah, Archana.
Another question, Radhavan. Sister, in present times, we are surrounded by lots of negativity. What is the way to stay away from negativity, find the positive things in negative, or totally avoid negativity areas? What is the method they wanted?
The focus should not be in how to remove the negativity around. The focus should be that how I should not see negativity around. That is how to I become positive. I become such a positive person that others are able to derive that inspiration from me. They are able to find some sort of inspiration from me. So how do I become a positive being? Meditation is all about that. I am a peaceful soul. Start with that point. I am a peaceful soul. So automatically with your awareness and thoughts, you're spreading vibrations around. You're spreading vibrations of peace. I am a loveful soul. I am a child of the ocean of love. I'm spreading the vibrations of love. I don't have to go and tell people I have so much love for you. No, you're sending the vibrations. You're creating that environment. Attitudes creates environments. You go to a temple, you feel good because of everybody's attitude is, I should not think bad there. You go to a theater, get excited. Everybody is thinking like excited thoughts there. As soon as the movie is over, they come out, they feel very dull because the attitude has changed. Atmosphere is created on the basis of your attitude. So let me focus entirely on my own positive attitude. Then what happens? I will not be able to see so much negativity because I'm only busy in contributing. When I'm in the phase where I want to receive something from others, that is when I'll start seeing negativity. No?
There's another question, Radhavan. How to overcome the grief of a departed soul?
When you're saying a departed soul, there is no coming back. It's departed. So there is no need to cry and everything. We know and we understand this knowledge that there is no need to cry and everything, but we should understand that it's a soul. If you think the bodily relationship, then there is grief and you will keep on continuously. It's a little bit you will feel bad and everything that, but continuously for days together we're not able to forget because we don't see them as souls. So it requires certain time that if it is very deep grief, then it takes you need to take out some time for at least half an hour, morning or evening, sit down and converse with Baba, bring that soul in front of Baba and say very good goodbye and thanks and all that to the soul. and see that one as a soul and not as a body. And properly say goodbye through your mind. And you know that the soul is gone to play its own part, and it's only the body that is left, but the soul never dies, it's still living. Then it could be born somewhere around somewhere. So nobody goes anywhere. They're very much on this earth. So there is nothing to have grief. Soul consciousness will remove grief. I have a personal experience in that. When I started coming to the center in 92, my grandmother left the body and I was very attached to her. She practically, because I have both working parents, and my mother being a professional, she used to travel and she spent a lot of time in the hospital and everything. And so my father was also traveling a lot. So practically my grandmother took care of me and my sister. And very loving, how grandmothers are, very, very loving. She practically stayed in our house all through till we are grown up, we were in university and everything. She was there. So when she left the body, I just, that very year I had come into this knowledge, 92. 93 she left the body. So I was filled, I didn't realize also, but when I would sleep, I thought I was very courageous and everything. But when she left the body, it's like I see the pillow, it will all be wet by morning. I will be crying and I'm not even realizing that in my subconscious, everything I'm crying and so much sorrow. And I would not go into her room. I could not see her box, where she used to keep her medicine. So many things I would not want to see. So much sorrow, so much sorrow. Then the sister here is Snehalben. I was telling, I'm remembering grandmother so much. So she said, you should sit this half an hour thing she told me. 7 to 7:30 in the evening, I used to sit and I used to send to my vibration to my grandmother. And I would thank her for everything that she's done for me. And I used to feel bad and guilt that I did not take care of her physically. I was never in the hospital to take care of her, and so many things, guilt feelings. She did so much for me. And that was when that sister told me, Snehalben, that, everybody can contribute physically, but nobody will be able to contribute spiritually like the way you can do even after she's departed. You can still send vibrations, and the soul requires vibrations. It doesn't want any physical help. And so every day I would send a lot of good wishes, pure feelings, take the soul to Baba and everything. And she said, this is the greatest return that you can give. I felt very good. I don't know, it must have been a week, and then that deep sorrow and all went away. Did I take too long?
No. Very nice. Radhikavan, few more questions. I hope it's okay. People are posting even now. So there's this question from someone who's saying that someone is right if right action is to be silent in difficult situations, but the person who's in a remote location can't understand our problems. So how to handle these difficulties? If I am silent, he will not know that I'm silent. That's what he means.
Let me try to understand. Silent in what way? There's a person in other place.
Yes.
And this person has to know something.
When there's a difficult situation, this person A is being silent, but he's tolerating, let's say, the other person who's there.
Why would they be tolerating when this person is not telling anything?
They're having some interaction, but I'm being silent because it's good action. I have to be silent.
Right action, so I'm tolerating.
So I'm being silent. But the other person is in a remote place. They would not know that I'm adjusting or accommodating or tolerating. So how do I deal with this?
The person need not be in a remote area. People who live with you under the same roof also will not realize if you're tolerating. Nobody need to be somewhere away. So it doesn't matter where they are. So a person could be very far away and you're not telling also, they will be able to, if that person's compassion is there, they'll immediately understand you're going through something. So when they've not understood without you telling, what will they understand if you tell also? It doesn't matter. So what is the question then? What to do? It's like that. Is it what is the point of tolerating is the question, is it? See, you tolerance does not mean to suffer. If you, let us say, let me try to understand this. There is a mother, there's a lady staying with the in-laws, and the husband is working elsewhere. Let's just take it as a scenario. I don't know what this scenario is, but I'm creating the scenario and giving an example. I'm with this person is with the in-laws, and the husband is away, and she's taking with the kids, taking care of the in-laws, taking care of all brothers, sister, brother-in-law, sister, or whatever. Now there are a lot of complications, of course. There will be. And she's putting up with it, and because the kids are important, she's tolerating everything. And the person there, he doesn't know, because she wants him to work and concentrate and not, worry about what's happening here. So if I'm tolerating this and I'm accommodating this, if I am having this purpose of doing it, let me do it happily. Na? If you're doing such a good action, such good karma, that you want to protect him and whatever, do it. But if you have the expectation that he should understand, he should know, or he should realize what you're going through and how he should appreciate, acknowledge, and give you shabashi, then the very purpose of this good action is gone. It's gone. So instead, it is good in tolerate. You can tolerate, but you can also tell without like a complaint. You can say, "I'm finding it so difficult with your mother, with your father, this and that." Not complain all the time and nag that he doesn't even want to talk to you, but tell in such a way that this is what is going on. That is what, without any sort of understanding. But you're just telling, expressing, this is what is going on. But I'm managing. You don't worry, I'll manage. But I wanted to share. That's it. With a very detached way, you can share.
So this is question on God. I understood the reality of God. Sometimes I'm hearing Ganesh, Hanuman, Sita, Ravan, these words in the Murli. I realized all are man-written stories. So why are these words being used in the Murli?
It is not we. It is not we sisters write that Murli. God is speaking that. He is mentioning, because those are the facts on the basis of which we lived our entire life. We can only relate to that. Now we met Shiv Baba. We've understood that he's Nirakar. You've understood immediately that these are stories, but they are so many who are listening to the Murli, they are so bound by these concepts still. They feel it is being disloyal by disconnecting with these concepts. So Baba, what happens for a child, if you want to give an example, you like what is a conflict, and you want to teach a child about a conflict, what will you tell the child? Will you talk about World War II or World War III, about China and Russia and America, how they fought? Will you tell that as a conflict, as an example for a small little child? No. According to the child's intellect, you will tell. You can give example of a toy, of a Barbie doll or something. They are fighting, this happened, that happened, like a story. Same way, if Baba has to explain to us about this knowledge, he has to come to our level. The concepts that we have, which we consider as religion, are all connected to Ganesh, Sita, Raman, all these things. So Baba explains from that point, because there are many souls who are still there. You should listen to our people who are listening to Murli. Majority of them listen to Telugu Murli in Andhra and Telangana. English, very few. You're the only ones here. Majority are there. If you go to our Upucharla, Macharla side, that we have our centers, we have 200 students coming and listening. So they understand from that point only. And Baba speaks to whom? To every child. Not to those who are intellectual and have already understood these are stories. It takes a while for them to understand. That is why he mentions them. Yeah. Because he's a father, na?
There is a question, sister, when you have low feeling continuously, how to talk to God? Because I feel I don't want to waste God's time too.
God has only time for you. He has no other work. It's not like, his time gets wasted. He's beyond time, actually. Time is for us. For him, there is no time. He's beyond time. He He can connect to billions of souls at the same time. He's God. And he says, I've only come for this purpose itself. Would you call a father, like your father is there, he went to a job and from morning till night he worked, he earned, and he educated you? Would you say, why my father wasted so much time going and earning so much money? He can as well earn for himself, eat and drink and sleep. Can you say that? Have you ever thought my father wasted time by earning? No. You think it's your right. So this is a rightful relationship. Why should we become like beggars? Na? Baba says, do not become a beggar. Then you God, you are everything. I don't want to take. This is like me papa neech, mere mein koi guna nahi. This is the concept that comes then. No, we are in knowledge. So this is a rightful relationship. I have every right over Baba. And Baba has all the time. And he's all the time to give. So it's no waste of time. It's utilizing your time by telling Baba, because you are wasting time if you are not taking strength from Baba and not surrendering to Baba. Isn't it?
Another question, how to
Can't
measure-
hear.
Another question.
How to meditate in the sense, is there any particular method that one needs to follow to get the connection? Is what one brother is asking.
Soul consciousness, God consciousness, connection. There is no other method. It's the same one I've been doing since 1992. There is no other way, no depth, no levels, nothing. I don't believe in it, and there's nothing. Just to entertain people, will say, you see this color, that color. There's nothing there. Soul consciousness, God consciousness, connection. How much you remember? Our dadis don't have these, stages and levels, nothing. The Raj Yoga is all about soul consciousness, God consciousness, connection, Baba, relation with Baba. Right? That's all. There's nothing there. But that is only very difficult. Very simple, but very difficult. A lot of attention you require.
So this question, someone says, always a question comes from my deeper heart that who am I? The next comes, who's asking this question? Why is this coming for me? Please
Who's
explain.
asking? Hema Ben. Hema, na? The soul is only asking. The soul is only asking, who am I? So give an answer to the soul. Na? I'm a soul. You are a soul. That's all. It's simple as that. Don't complicate it. I'm a soul. I'm a point of light. You start from there. Don't complicate it by telling, who am I? Who am I? You are, the minute you ask, who am I? You have the knowledge. So you should immediately give the reply. To realize that your soul will take time, but you have to at least give yourself the answer. Isn't it? If as a child, you say, what is your name? They'll ask the children, what is your name? Oh, my name is Kavya. Oh, very good. But that Kavya doesn't even know what Kavya means. She doesn't know what her life is, how much her parents are working hard for her. She doesn't know that her future is what she is going to become. Nothing she knows. But she'll just say, I'm Kavya. As she's growing, she'll say, when she's about 10 years, who are you? I'm Kavya. I'm in 5th class. I am this. More information about the self. Like that, it keeps growing. Now, if somebody asks, who are you? I'm Kavya. I'm an engineer. I'm this, that. More understanding has come. Same way. First, we just have to tell ourselves, I am a peaceful soul. Start from there. Just follow what Baba says. Don't, philosophize. Is there a word called philosophize? Philosophize it. It's just too much. Like people say, I went into the depths of, philosophy and spirituality and in having a lot of analysis. So this analytical mind doesn't work very well in spirituality. Head should not work so much. Heart should. I am a soul. Okay.
One last question, Radhikavan. It is a general one, actually. How to get rid of stress? One of the sisters is asking.
Stress is when you think too much. And somebody was asking, when you feel low, what to do? Hana? Depression. Oh, no, not depression. Meditation. How to meditate when you feel low and everything. See, Baba has said that you should listen to a song. Baba's songs you should play for yourself. When you can't meditate and connect to him, just play a song. And the whole meaning you understand and you feel very elevated and very good. Very nice. Just a song. Just to elevate your mood. This one stress is thinking too much. So as you're meditating and you are surrendering to Baba, and every time you're working, you are becoming a trustee and telling Baba, you do it through me, you do through me. Then automatically, what happens is that you will overcome stress. Meditation. There's no other solution. No more questions. Is it one more?
4 more. Someone is asking, is chakra meditation body consciousness?
Yes, 100%.
Thank you. Someone else is asking, when we start sitting in meditation, we're getting many thoughts, more than normal. How many days will it take to control thoughts?
You are having thoughts always, but you're becoming aware of it when you're meditating. You're thinking more than before. No, you are getting from the beginning, but you never sat in silence to realize it. It will be there. But in that, let us say you sit for 10 minutes, in that at least about 1-2 minutes, if you're able to meditate, very good, congratulations. Take thoughts. What thoughts I should take? I'm a soul. Baba is there. I'm taking strength from him. Just visualize. Just do whatever you can in that 10 minutes. As you're going on, don't count time. Automatically will solve. For some, it will be just for a month. For some, it's just instant. For some, 1 year also. It depends upon how much you're listening to the Murli and thinking about it. And how much you are getting about Amrit Vela. How much you have attention on your food. How much you're able to, follow Baba's directions. All that is connected. It's just not thoughts are just wandering just like that. No, it's all connected to our karma, with our past also.
How to find my passion? Like, I tried a lot of things in my life, but it always seems like there's something else made for me. Am I on the right path? A lot of questions come in my mind.
For anything, for any vision that we need to reach, let us say somebody says, I want to be a doctor or I want to be a lawyer. Your values have to be in congruence with it. It has to be in tune with that vision. So you're preparing your future on the basis of these values. Like I have patience, I have logic, I have mercy. So accordingly, I have a vision. So it should be in tune with the vision. So until unless you don't discover what values you're made of, what special qualities you have, to think about to become something there, it's you're not a human doing, you're a human being. So you just can become a doctor and not feel any mercy for anybody. What's the use? You won't enjoy the job. You will get a good job, everybody will appreciate, but you won't appreciate, you won't enjoy it. Now see, in this coronavirus, so many doctors are going to hospitals and they're getting all this disease, coronavirus disease they're getting. Right here only in our NIMS hospital, coronavirus people have come, that gastroenterology they've become. But they're not complaining why you asked us to come. Nobody is saying. Nobody's complaining. They're saying safety in equipment should be kept. But they're not saying we will not come. It's okay. It's like a battlefield, but we will come. So because the qualities are there. The qualities are there of mercy, of doing service, to bring benefit to others unselfishly. What is the death in front of salary, you tell me? It's too much, no? So if that, then passion will come. Qualities should be there, then passion will come. So first, let me discover. In meditation, you'll only discover the qualities. You give time to yourself to discover what are my qualities, what are my specialties, what is that God's plan. That I have to discover. My plan doesn't work so much as his plan works. Any more questions?
if one is in some ways or somehow responsible for the reason of some loved one's death, then how to deal with all the consuming regretful thoughts?
It is see, this could be an attitude, or this could be the truth. We don't know. Why someone dies is their, time is over. Nobody is responsible for anybody's death, if you see. So, if someone was indirectly responsible for someone's death, what can we do? How to not to have regrets, is it? Pointless. The soul is gone. Now, what can you do? Someone who comes to the center, her son was shot by her own cousin and he died right here in Hyderabad. So they left that house there and they're staying with their son to different house. They're staying away. They don't stay there anymore because upstairs is the Jait and downstairs it is Devar. Jait means the older brother-in-law and the younger brother-in-law. The older brother-in-law's son killed their son right in front of the house. It's very terrible. And he was a grown man. He was with a child, married. How? Through meditation, by remembering Baba. I will not use the word meditation. It is remembering Baba. Yad. And when you're remembering, she's remembering Baba. How she allowed, that's a great thing, because she said, I will not forgive them. That she started with that. I will not forgive, because even though the son has killed, the parents are also responsible. So she refused to talk to them. Then they wanted to sell that place, their house. But they didn't want any other people to come and stay in that same facility. They wanted to buy it, that Jait on top. She would say, I will not give him. Why will I give my house to that man whose son killed my son? I'll not give. Now, say 2018, she's changed. She's telling it's such a relief system, my health is getting better. She gave her brother-in-law only the house to buy. See how meditation helps. Meditation of Baba's strength helps. So that's the only way.
One last question. How do we avoid being abused, misused, ill-treated, or taken undue advantage?
We don't allow it, no? What they're doing, we cannot change it. But how it can influence and affect me, that I can change. No? If somebody is abusing me, see, the more the self-respect I grow, the less they get that feeling of right over me. If I'm attached to them, they will hurt me. Instead, you should start loving that soul and stop getting attached to the relationship. And the more the attachment, the more the abuse, more taken advantage of, because I'll allow it because I'm attached to that person. No? Attachment is very sickening, I tell you. Love is good. That's what Baba teaches us. Has got their own definition. Somebody has written, Anita ji. No, private. Private or not, I have to answer, no? Has got their own definition of happiness. Angry, selfish person has his own definition of happiness. How to bring a wavelength match between these two characters? Sanskaras go through a lot of changes as we grow and expose ourselves. But how to change or influence other sanskar with whom we live and can't avoid them in our life? With whom we live and can't avoid them in our life. Okay. Second question you answered. How to bring a wavelength match between these two sanskaras? What characters? What that is? I'll try to understand it later and I'll answer later. Okay then. 1 hour is over now. All would like to go and sleep now. Isn't it?
Thank you so much, Radhikaben, for all the inspiring answers, because I'm sure everyone had a question about how to bring it practically into life. and all the questions. I hope all your questions have been answered. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thank you. Thank you, Radhikaben. We'll end
Thank
with meditation.
ये मत कहो खुदा से मेरी मुश्किलें बड़ी हैं, ये मत कहो खुदा से मेरी मुश्किलें बड़ी हैं, ये मुश्किलों से कह दो मेरा खुदा बड़ा है। आती है आंधियाँ तो कर उनका खैर मकदम, आती है आंधियाँ तो कर उनका खैर मकदम, तूफान से ही तो लड़ने खुदा ने तुझे गढ़ा है। ये मत कहो खुदा से मेरी मुश्किलें बड़ी हैं, ये मुश्किलों से कह दो मेरा खुदा बड़ा है, मेरा खुदा बड़ा है, मेरा खुदा बड़ा है। अग्नि में तप के सोना है और भी निखरता, अग्नि में तप के सोना है और भी निखरता, दुर्गम को पार करके हिमालय कोई चढ़ा है। लाएगी रंग मेहनत आखिर तुम्हारी एक दिन, लाएगी रंग मेहनत आखिर तुम्हारी एक दिन, होगा विशाल तरवर वो बीज जो पड़ा है। ये मत कहो खुदा से मेरी मुश्किलें बड़ी हैं, ये मुश्किलों से कह दो मेरा खुदा बड़ा है, मेरा खुदा बड़ा है, मेरा खुदा बड़ा है।
Okay, Om Shanti. Good night, sweet dreams. So meet you tomorrow, 4 in the morning, or 7 o'clock in the morning, or 11:45 in the morning, or at 6 o'clock, whatever time you come, or 7:30. Tomorrow.
7:30 evening.
What classes?
These people classes.
Just 7:30. So whichever time you all log in for Murli. So see you all tomorrow. Okay, Om Shanti.